Okay, it's 7:10. I will call the meeting to order. We had two people that were already registered on public comment. One had canceled from Live Free Movie Night, and the other one was supposed to come and request an all-breed dog show. And as of now, they're not here, but we did have someone walk in that would like to speak. So if someone would like to just make a motion that we can let him speak. Okay, second. Okay, all in favor? All right, come on up. Just up to the podium and just name and address for the record, please.
Yes, good evening.
Just hit the bottom, the button on the base of the microphone. There you go.
Got it. Green is good. Good evening. William Selsky, 8 Harwood Terrace, Trumbull. I'm coming before you folks tonight to make mention again that since the Gunter Pond has been dredged, the park bench and the sign "Do Not Feed the Wildlife" was never installed. This is going back to 2021 and 2022. And after everything was done, it was requested by me at that point to get the park bench back in place. And Mr. Paris had said that it would be, but it never got there. So it is an asset to the park. I'd like to see it back there because people do walk to the park and enjoy the park. And the bubble points to where it would have been on the south shore of the park itself, of the pond. That's it.
And also the sign as well, that wildlife sign.
Yeah, the sign was there back in 2021, and then when they did everything with dredging of the pond, the park bench and that sign disappeared.
Do you remember them taking it out, or did they, destroy it when they were pulling stuff up? Did they take it out?
Don't know how it was actually removed, but it was just simply a 4x4 post with the "Do Not Feed the Wildlife" green sign on it. And the park bench was a concrete left and right sides with the 2x going across. A little bit crooked, but
Right.
that was the idea.
Okay.
And seeing that the benches now, they're up at Long Hill Commons Park, whatever it is, I mean, it'd be nice to have something like that back at our park here. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. How is I remember for years you were going through trying to get that dredged. Has that worked out well since
Yes.
that was been
Yeah.
done?
Unfortunately, the neighborhood likes to throw sticks and stones on the ice so nobody can skate, but that's the way it is. When we moved here in '89, skating was great. And then eventually the pond silted in so deep, making it so shallow that it would never freeze over. But this year it would have been great skating again. And people just like to throw logs and sticks and stones out there for some reason. So.
Okay. Any questions?
Again,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll bring it up. Okay, so no one else is here for public comment, so I will close public comment and we will move back to our original meeting for acceptance of minutes. Does anybody have any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes of December, seeing we didn't meet last month? If no, do I have a motion to approve? Deb, seconded. John, all in favor? Okay, so moved. Correspondence, it says attached. Is that just part of the agenda? There was no correspondence, right?
Yeah.
Yes, there was none?
There was not.
Okay. Okay, there was no correspondence. I think that's automatically just filled out on the agenda, so we didn't have any this month. Old business, anybody have any old business you want to bring up?
The email that I sent you with that qualifies old business?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So I just wanted to bring this up.
Or actually, that's That's new business.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
wait
Okay.
on that. Okay. Old business, anything? Yeah, I've been speaking with Dimitri about open rec. Apparently, there seems to be a groundswell of support with that, and that's not something that's been, tabled. They're actively working on it. Apparently, they sent out a questionnaire to people. Deb said she even got one requesting what nights they wanted, what hours. They're trying to get gym space. Apparently, it would be difficult to get anything before 6 and not on Sundays. Our insurance carrier won't allow us to just have open rec where just people show up and come in. It has to be a formal, sign a waiver, be on a roster. So I think it probably has to go through the recreation department where you would pay a fee and then be on a list and then show up. But that is in the works. I don't know what more we could do. Go ahead, John. I don't know what more we could do at this time.
What changed over time that it's just like, kind of, you can't just show up type thing? Like between like my childhood, our childhood.
I think
That's
a
just
more
like-
litigious society and insurance companies that don't want to get sued, most likely.
Okay.
Because how would you keep the non-taxpayers out too? Right? If you just had open rec, anybody could just show up.
I'm trying to think. Did you need to show ID prior to? I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
for
you
some-
did. You had to sign
I mean, we're
in.
talking about if you're talking about me with
Yeah.
the old
No,
the old time.
yeah.
No, you just
But I-
strolled in.
You,
No,
you had to prove you were from Trumbull type. Like was some place that you had to prove you were from Trumbull. That's the only thing.
I recall signing in and with my name and address and having to show my ID.
That-
And this
yeah,
is like the last time that I went and played, which was probably right before COVID. It was like 2020. That winter.
it was that recent.
Yeah, because that's when we were playing, and then we were going there pretty consistently. I think it was like on a Saturday, late morning, early afternoon. But I remember having to show a license and write down, who it was.
Yeah, and rightly so. So if there's damage done, at least they know who was in the school.
Right. Yeah.
That would happen at that would happen at Madison or like Hillcrest, but
Yes.
went to like Tashu. I was telling Rodney before, like this didn't happen like a smaller facility like that. That whoever was didn't have to show really anything.
But they are working on it. So there had to be a checker there to check, almost
that's-
like at the pool, right?
That's what I
a
remember.
checker.
Yeah, I remember having to write your name and address and then show your license.
Yeah, and I think that's why they wanted. If they do it, I think that's why they want to do it through registration. So you pay a nominal fee,
Yeah.
which would pay for the checker to be there.
Sure.
But other than that, it is. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
When I first started, I know that they did have open gym and they did have checkers that were there, and then people would show up and they would sign in. My significant other actually was one of those. I think they called them like supervisors or rec supervisors or something like that. So they did have them, and then they would be there in case anything happened medically or whatever the case may be. And I know that at one point the Rangers were actually going in and checking in on them as well. And if they had an issue, they would call us, and then we would go down. And if we need other assistance, from Trumbull PD or what have you, then we would do that. So
And how long ago was that?
could have been like 5 years ago now. I mean,
It
I don't
sounds
know
about
about
right.
recently, but it could have been, that many years ago. I know when I first started, they definitely had it, and then they had it for a period of time over, like a 5-year period, and then I don't know what transpired after that.
So what's interesting is I've been on this commission for 25 plus years, and that's not anything that ever came when you were on Just Rec before you merged with us. Was that something that you ever dealt with? No. Yeah, that's something that we never dealt with as a commission. Unless was that done by the board through the Board of Ed?
No, that was done through us. Before Noreen, there was, I forget her name, that was there, and then you had Dan that was before that. And I know that when Dan was here, it was because, like I say, my significant other, she actually was one of those supervisors for, I think it was like Saturday mornings or something like that. And it was at Hillcrest that they had it. And it was open gym. You'd come in, you could shoot basketball. or you could have pickup games or whatever the case may be.
Like on a Saturday morning or whatever.
Right.
Did you have to pay a fee?
And they had it at night too.
I don't think we
no
had to pay a
fee?
fee. No,
No.
I think it was just you go, and as long as you're a resident, you're good. But yeah, that's where we would play.
I think they want to do it now more formal through the recreation department, where you pay a fee like you do any other recreation, and then you're put on a list, and then you're allowed to go. That's what I think.
That would make sense to me, because
That would-
I have to imagine too they're probably going to need some sort of custodial staff. I think if you're going into a school, I would imagine. I don't know, but I think that's accurate. Anytime a school's open, you need somebody there.
No, well, I don't believe it would be at a time where they wanted to do it on Sunday, but then Sunday you have to pay double time for the custodian. So I think that's out. So now you're Monday through Saturday, so it would have to be a time when the custodian's there anyway.
I got you. Okay.
Which is a shame, because I think Sunday would probably be a decent day.
Yeah.
But that's a monetary issue.
Yeah.
And even if you charge people, that's not going to pay for the custodial staff. It would probably pay
Unless
the
that's the
checker.
number. I guess that would depend on how many people sign up. But if there's signatures going around and you had an idea of how many, and we say, hey, all right, 500 people, and let's assume 300 show up. This is how much it would cost each person to cover a season with double time. I don't know.
Right. They are working on it, and apparently, what do you say, they sent out quite a few and got a good percentage back.
Yeah.
So they're piecing through that, and they're trying to get days and times that people want, and match it to what's open.
Yeah.
Which is the biggest problem.
That's the big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So at this time, there's obviously this is something that we want and we'd like to approve it, but they have to work out
Yeah.
the details.
Sure.
Okay, also under old business, Beaches Park. Steve, anything going on down at Beaches Park? The neighbors were complaining about vandalism down there. I know we put the cameras in a few months ago.
Yeah, nothing that I can that I could think of recently that we've had any issues that are down there. Of course, it's been really cold and snowy too, so it's hard to get into that parking lot and so on. So right now, I don't think we really haven't had anything recently.
And they certainly can't do donuts in the parking lot right now, unless did they plow that out? I don't even know.
Yeah, they did, and they do that. And if somebody's going to be doing donuts in there, I mean, it's not really going to show too much because it is some ice areas
Right.
and so on and so forth.
Right. And then last meeting, we did come up with a motion that we would like signs down there to just let people know that that area is monitored 24/7 activity. Maybe people know it's monitored, they'll refrain from doing what they were doing.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Anything that is going to keep them from from going in there. And it's hard to control that area because they can just park right outside. And if there's talk about gates or shutting it down or whatever the case may be, I mean, there's so many pathways that people can take through there. We do get occasionally ATVs and even snowmobiles at some point in time that go through there too. So, you could get those type of situations. I mean, that's kind of a hard parking lot to cordon off, because then you would have to cordon off the walkways and all that, because the walkways are pretty wide, so you can, get a vehicle down those walkways too. I mean, it's not that it can't be done, and, doing anything to secure it would be good, but, maybe the cameras and that signage will help deter, some of the ones that would be, because, they'd be on camera.
Right. If they don't know they're on camera, if they know they're on camera, they may obviously be less apt to do what they were doing. But if they don't know the cameras are there, that's not going to deter them. So that's why we figured the signs may at least be a deterrent.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the last one that we had, I believe somebody was doing donuts, and I think they caused damage to the seeded grass part. And that was probably a few months ago, I believe. Trying to remember now, but I think that's the last one that I've heard of down there.
Okay, good. All right. Because we feel like we want to do something, but I know the powers that be don't want to close off down there for many reasons. They said the best way to close it off would be to to gate the road, and I don't think anybody wants to do that because so many people use it as a cut through, including emergency services.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest that, closing that off because it is a way through. Another thing you would have to look at, is that just a park road or is that a regular public road?
Apparently, it's a park road.
Yeah, almost like an old mine where you have, the road to Old Mine Road there is actually a park road and not necessarily a public road.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that a couple months ago that was a park road. I guess from once you go through that rotary there, what goes down, that Twin Brooks Road is a park road.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess, trying to gate that off and trying to close that off, each evening, then we would have to have probably at least 2 rangers go through because you don't know if people are parked on the other end, and then you're working your way down. You got people that might be parked, in that there's like a little gravel type of area that people park as well. Then it goes down to the main lot, and then it goes out to, what is it, Old Dam or whichever road that's right there.
Old Dyke.
Old Dyke, yeah.
No,
So
we
then-
weren't in favor of closing off that road. Dimitri and Matt were saying the easiest way to do it would be put a gate up on top and a gate down below and close off the road, but that's not feasible. And even the neighbors said that's not what they're looking for.
No, and you're right. I mean, a lot of people do use that as a cut through. We do get, occasional complaints when we actually close the parks because of snow and so on, especially down at Twin Brooks, because people use that as a cut through and all that too. So, I mean, it can be done. It's just, I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
There can be other options, I suppose.
Yeah, I haven't spoken with anybody here or in the town that wants that as an option. Deb, did you?
Yeah, so I know we passed the motion. Do we know if the sign is in progress or not?
I've actually neglected to ask them today.
Yeah, no, that's
Next time I
fine.
talk,
I figured
we
it'd
do
be
not.
good before the summer but
Yeah,
to
sure.
have that up.
Sure. So I believe we make our own signs anyway, so that's something they could do.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that. He might already has a place that he goes to.
Okay. The other thing I have under old business was that trail run. The woman, the Gabby Longobardo, came a few months ago and requested a trail run. And Noreen was here, and we just saw some roadblocks. We said you would have to check with EMS because, well, Steve, the feasibility of having a trail run in Twin Brooks. Apparently, it would start at like the bathrooms, go around the lake, up the trails to Twin Brooks Road, then come back down through. And we were concerned about, safety, all the roots and rocks, and those are narrow trails up there, especially if you're having a race. So we said, well, you would have to check with EMS because they would have to, have their gator ready or manpower there. You'd have to propose a trail map, and you would have to show us insurance documentation or get an insurance quote for something like that. Apparently she got all 3. So she had emailed us last month saying she wanted to come and see if we approve it. We said, unfortunately, the meeting is canceled, but because you fulfilled the things that we were requesting, we would suggest you speak directly with the recreation department, work out the feasibility, and then we can discuss it afterwards. And I spoke with Dimitri today, and he says he has not heard from her. So I don't know where that is now. I don't know if she has contacted Noreen, but she did do the 3 things that we requested. Dee was speaking with Dee today. He was concerned about a trail run. Number 1, shutting the whole park down for that. And number 2, the safe, those trails, he says, are very, Steve. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm trying to envision the trails that you're referring to and the path in which you're referring to.
Actually, there's a link, and I just went on it today, but she left a link on thegomap.com, and there's a link there, and I looked at it, and it looks like it starts in the parking lot there. Mm-hmm. Goes around the lake, up, as you come up around the lake, there's those those trails that go up, and if you follow that all the way, there's a couple trails there. You follow that all the way up, you come right up to Beach Park Road. Then I think they would turn around and come back and come out one of the other trails. That's what it seemed like. It seemed like a big loop and then running around the lake, but it was about a 5K. But that you're way up in the woods there, and those are narrow, and there's a lot of roots and there's a lot of rocks. How would people race or pass each other if it's a race?
Well, from the experience as far as the Sunset Run and the kids triathlon, those aren't even going on paths. And we have a lot of volunteers. We have our rangers. We also have, I think it's 3 or 4 police officers that are there guiding the route. And then we have radio communications that if there's any type of injury or what have you, we're calling EMS, who's there on scene as well. So as far as logistics-wise is concerned, and it all depends how many people that there are runners that they're expecting as well, because the logistics of doing, say, even the farmers market, the Sunset Run, and other things that are in there, you got your parking situation, but then you would have to close down the park, and if you're using any of those roads for the runners, then you're going to have to make sure that nobody leaves that park until all the runners are done, because then you don't want to run a risk of having a group of runners and then cars going through there at the same time, and so on. So the logistics on that are very, very important. And when you're talking about the safety of running on a trail that's unimproved, if you will, that's just basically a walking trail that others have made on their own. And it may even connect to a fire road or partially a fire road up and back there too, but it's not, maintained on a regular basis. I mean, it's risky as far as that is concerned. I mean, you're talking about liability. If they have the insurances, I mean, that's one thing, but they're going to have volunteers that are going to be all along that route to make sure that they're guided in the right direction, that in case anything happens, you're going to have to be able to tell where the location of EMS it has to go. I can see a whole host of things, and it's going through my mind of what logistically I would do when it comes to that. But it's not our event, so obviously, they have to have other things in place. I mean, I'm not specifically opposed to it. I just have some, question on the logistics behind it. And I don't know if they've ever organized that type of event before, but it's challenging. If you know anything about what we have to do for the farmers markets each year, but we're getting thousands of people at the farmers market, so there's a little bit of a different logistical challenge when it comes to that. But even the Sunset Run a few years ago, or maybe even 2 years ago, when they started having it back at Twin Brooks, we limited it to 200. Okay, and that was basically perfect as far as parking the vehicles. But then the challenge was keeping those people that are there in the park until the race is over. And then we had it last year 250. So it was a little bit more of a challenge. And this year, I don't know yet. But so those are the type of things that you really got to look at. And then, like I say, the running on unimproved, just natural trails like that, it's not like rails to trails where, and that can, we've had injuries in there too. But, you're talking about very, very natural trails. It's more like a cross-country race, if you will.
Right. No, Dee was even mentioning something about the Trumbull High Trail that cross-country runs on, behind the soccer field there that goes out to Twin Brooks, which is kind of maintained and the roots are sprayed and the rocks are sprayed. But that's a very small area over there. So I don't know how, you'd have to run around the high school to try to get a 5K in there.
Yeah, and then you're talking 5K. I mean, when you're talking the Sunset Run, they go up and they run around the lake and they make their way back. Obviously that's all paved streets and things like that. You're not talking about trying to scope out 5K in the woods.
Okay, so I'm not sure if Dimitri hadn't heard anything. He wasn't sure if she had contacted Noreen. He seemed to think that he probably would have heard something. So I don't know. But at this point in time, I guess there's nothing else we can we can act on unless we hear more. Yeah, because she gave a nice presentation and she was into it. I'm just noticing ideally she wanted June 21st. I don't know what day of the week that is, but that sounds like about Trumbull High graduation time or Father's Day around there.
12th.
It's that early? It's a Sunday. Yeah, see, that's a problem. A lot of people like to use that park on a Sunday just for leisure activities, walking their dog.
Yeah, especially on the weekend in June in the summertime. I mean, it gets very busy on the weekends in particular.
Okay. Anything else under old business? Nance, you should come up with something. Okay, new business. Rodney, why don't you bring up what you were mentioning before?
Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of bring this up as a getting ahead of it before we actually see it, but it's coming fairly quickly. As far as the new Hillcrest building going in and all the fields that are going offline, if there's a plan in place or an idea of a plan in place of how we're gonna, I guess, provide access to all the user groups that are in town with fields. I know because there's a lot. That's essentially the majority of Trumbull High and Hillcrest are coming offline with the grass fields for a while. I think we all got the letter, or at least I saw the letter saying what fields are going away for staging purposes of the building, and then also permanently with the new build. I wanted to bring it up just to kind of get any thoughts or see if there's anything out there, because it's one of those things I could see being a problem that would, if it's left for the last minute or just trying to throw it together, could be a big issue.
It's going to be a huge problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a problem now, and we have all the fields.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like I said, I figured I'd bring it up starting here, and maybe, I don't know if there's any talk about within Parks and Rec about what kind of the plan is with it, as far as user groups and field access and all that, to be able to utilize and maximize the space so that user groups can play.
As far as that part of things, I'm not really aware of those ones. That's Dimitri and Kyle who's been working, for those type of things. So it's probably better, if he answers those questions, because I'm not really involved with those ones.
Yeah, it's certainly something that's. I don't think it's just going to fall on us. It's going to fall on the Board of Ed. It's going to fall on the town council. I mean, they made that decision and they knew this was going to happen. So, unfortunately, teams are going to have to play on the road for a while. I mean, you can't just make fields. Like Dee was saying, he wished we were more proactive and made a couple fields in the woods behind the high school so that we had something to go to. But
Is that a possibility or not?
I think it's because we're starting in May, right? You
yeah,
need
but it's a 4-year on paper project, right?
Yeah, I have no idea. That's a town issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
That Board of Ed property over there anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm looking at that, and then this year, I know that the middle school track program is taking all of McDougal as well on Mondays, just as like overflow. They're not necessarily using the field; they're just using it because they have kids who are going to be there and they need somewhere to put them. So taking at least one day of the week offline for one of our 4 turf fields.
But wouldn't that be just after school?
No, that actually is. That's actually they start practice at 7 on those days.
Oh, 7 at night?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So they start practice at 7 for coaches, I guess. I don't know, because they practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays right after school at Madison on the track there. but then on the Mondays and Wednesdays, they're going to go up to McDougal. Right now, only Monday is booked as an overflow day, but Wednesday is not. So, or being requested, but it's through Board of Ed. So
And that's in the spring, so that's going to impede on lacrosse.
lacrosse, rugby, and then soccer because they kind of run year round.
Out of
obviously.
season,
Yeah,
though.
yep. But
Priority, obviously, now more than ever in season sports.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, I just thought I'm like, okay, well, we're losing a turf field, which, we gained one, but now we'll lose one during the week, and then we're gonna take all these other fields offline. Like, this could jam up pretty quick, and then even not obviously for out of sports or out of season sports. I'm just talking about in season
Yeah.
sports. What happens then? Yeah. So like I said, I just wanted to bring it up just as like be proactive, turn the wheels, and see if there's any place we can get things in.
Nance?
Well, Dee actually presented this to us, I think, in the November meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was here, and yeah, I don't.
Were you not here for that, Pete?
There was one I missed. That might have been that one.
Yeah,
We discussed
yeah,
it for about an hour.
right. Yeah, but yeah, I don't think there's any.
He
Solution.
warned us and he said, there's not too much we can do. That's just the way it's going to be. We've got to manage it.
I wonder if I'm in communications, so I'm just thinking proactively. Obviously, we can't build new fields, but maybe when we are just talking to some of the entities in town that come to us for tournaments, especially, putting people on notice that for things that are above and beyond what we normally do, like we're just not going to have the capacity for that. So we're not addressing it like when they come with the request, but ahead of time, because it sounds like anything extra is going to be next to impossible.
Camps. I mean, think of how many people use that field behind Hillcrest. I mean, that's rugby's main field out there. No, he's well aware of it. Anything else? New business. So we have Gunther Pond Park. We must have a bench somewhere, wherever that one went. So obviously, if he did tell you that it would be put back there.
Yeah, and he was talking about two benches, and I said, no, there were never two, there was just the one on that south end of the park.
That doesn't sound like D wanting to give you an extra bench, yeah. Right, any discussion, someone want to make a motion, or, I mean, obviously that's a, monetary issue, but I see benches going up all over town.
Motion thing.
Well, just a motion to have him do that.
It's just a request. I think you just have to bring him a request. Return things to how they were. I mean,
But we can make a motion to return things how they were. Right.
I'll make a motion to return things how they were by replacing the bench and the "Do Not Feed the Wildlife" sign at Gunther Pond.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, so move. It's cleaner if you do a motion. Okay. Has more power behind it than discussion. Okay. Superintendent's report, who's not here, but we have the ranger here. So Steve, do you have any new news besides your report that you'd like to bring up? How are your new digs working out over there? Didn't you guys move?
No, not yet. We're in the process of working out the logistics on that. Within the next, from my understanding, within the next couple of weeks, we have to have a plan in place. So we're just trying to work out some of the particulars when it comes to that. So it should be fairly soon. We're gonna from what they want to do is they want to have us in place before, things start ramping up in the springtime. So if there's any, type of bugs or anything that have to be worked out, then we can do that.
And did they say what they want to do with the Woods estate over there? Not the Woods estate, the Bill property when you guys leave?
No, I haven't heard anything about that.
Okay, anything else? How are you doing with manpower?
We're going to be putting out an ad soon. We have a couple of rangers that are leaving for other jobs, which is fine. So we have some that we have to replace. So we're going to probably get the ad out either this week or early next week, so that way we can start getting applicants to fill some of those slots. And then we're looking at obviously to put on some more rangers, so that way we have our special events like the kids concerts and the farmers market and so on, that can work those. That's a big thing this year. And two of the ones that are leaving were ones that were working and they were veterans of the farmers market. So we need to bring a couple more in replacements and get them, up to speed and so on and so forth, because it takes time to know that system down there and what we do as far as, parking and so on and so forth. Vehicles are, we get some small repairs and some repairs done to the vehicles, and we're getting them back and, things like that. So, the winter time is good to get all these other things done, all the maintenance issues done. So that way during the summertime, we have a full complement of vehicles and such.
You guys are definitely visible, because when I drive around town, I'm always seeing the Ranger trucks around. So it's good going in and out of the high school, and it's good to see you guys around.
Yeah, it's good to hear that too. It's good to get that feedback of, that they're actually out there and and we're trying to, be visible. We want to get out of the vehicles and talk to people. Of course, it's been extremely cold, so it's a little hard to do that right now. But, that's one of the big things that I try to push is them getting out and talking to people and being visible and, helping. We are working on some programs. We have a junior ranger program that we're working on. Right now it's going to be probably about 8 weeks, with each week we'll have different, things that we'll be bringing to, like, for kids, but also, parents and things like that. And there's other programs that we're going to try to put into place this year too.
And where would you hold that?
Well, that's one of the things that we're trying to find out now is where we're going to do it. Maybe Abraham Nichols, the new barn or so on, or the caretaker, barn, things like that. So, those are all things that are in play right now. And several rangers have taken the reins. Marty, she was a science teacher, so there's a lot of things that she brought to the table. There's some things that I brought to the table that I want to do, and then some of the other rangers as well. There's a lot of talent within our ranger group, and we're going to utilize that.
Good. Yeah, I remember when you guys, I think before you were here, when the Rangers were stationed down near Unity Park where the health department was, they actually had a classroom in there, because we would meet in there, and there'd be snakes and tanks and these little animals and all that stuff in there.
Yeah, we don't have anything like that, but but yeah, and I'm trying to recall things like in the junior ranger program, like having a campfire or not hunting, sorry, hiking safety. Last year we did a couple of hikes that we did at historical hikes at Old Mine. I'm a historian, so for me history's right up my alley. So myself and Kyle, we had some of the Boy Scout and Girl Scout troops that were up there, and we'd bring them through and teach them about the history of Old Mine. And it was like an hour hike that we went through there. We did some at Twin Brooks as well, which we're going to continue doing those ones, too. And then, like I say, the Junior Ranger program and other programs that we're going to do.
Good. Yeah.
Stephen, the ranger report, there was something about grass damage at Beach Pool from vehicles?
That might have been what I was referring to. That
Yeah.
would have
So
been last month. Yeah.
was that like around the bathroom area?
Yes. Up in the you got the main you got the main sidewalk or the walkway that goes up there. So right around in that area that goes kind of a lot into the back where the sprinkler park is too.
Yeah.
So that grassy area that they had reseeded and so on.
Was it significant damage?
I don't think it was significant because of the fact that you had a lot of, you had some snow and things like that. So it didn't cause, I don't think, a lot of damage. We won't really know until it thaws out.
So would that have been detected on the cameras there?
It's a possibility. The one things with cameras, sometimes it picks up things good, sometimes it doesn't. So it could be a pixelated as well.
Did anyone check?
I'm not sure on that.
Who's in charge? I mean, who gets those camera feeds or whatever? Does the ranger?
That we don't have access to those, no.
So who gets it? Who?
I thought D said he had it. He has access to it.
Oh, just seems like a thing we would have looked at.
Yeah.
He says he can log in from his phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite was 2 months ago when they were cutting down the trees.
Yeah, that was interesting. It was possible that we might have known who it was, but again, the footage from the camera caught something, but it was grainy and we couldn't make it out. So that was one of those things that was investigated by the police department as well, and it just came unfounded that we couldn't trace it to the possibly what we might have thought. I can say that the tree didn't just get disposed of. It ended up being a Christmas tree in the ranger station.
Okay.
Okay. So, and it came out beautiful. The rangers helped decorate and stuff, so it didn't go to waste.
Good.
And, there's some preventative measures that, Dee's looking into, the possibility of being able to, to trace if in case anybody cuts down any more of those.
Very good. All right, anything else for Steve while he's here? All right, thank you. And you have the Recreation Director's report, and you have the Park Superintendent's report, which is pretty much one paragraph about snow. Snow removal. Snow removal and repairs. Other than that, anything else? No? Okay, someone want to make a motion? To adjourn? Mike's always good for that, yeah. John, second. All in favor? Okay. It's going to start getting busy now. Sports are going to